We are live. Welcome to the Michael Zehr Show.
Good morning, Cochise County. Today is August 26th, and I am coming to you from the Warrior Healing Center, Rising Eagle Studios. Please tell me I got that right, Tim. Did I? Good. Okay. Rising Eagle Studios
100%.
here in Sierra Vista, Arizona. And it's a center down here where it's at 1838 Paseo, San Luis, if you don't know where it's at. And it's also phone numbers listed down here at the bottom. So today, my special guest veteran is Mrs. Jane C. Strain. So I want to thank you so much for taking time out to come in and talk to us.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Phyllis Romero, because Phyllis was the one that kind of hooked us up and got to going. So
yes.
Before I start asking you my questions that I normally ask, I'd like to ask you about your shirt real quick. Okay. What's on your shirt there?
So because I started my Army career at Fort McClellan, Alabama, originally commissioned as into the Women's Army Corps, that means I belong to WACS, Women's Army Corps. This is the chapter shirt. It's a national shirt. There's chapters all over America. These are the gatherings of women who have been in the WAC Corps and were beginning to change into women in the Army or women in the military, because of course all of us young folks that started out in the WAC Corps, there's attrition going on. So as we lose our WAC members, we're broadening this organization for all women who were in the military of all branches, of all ranks.
Oh, that's outstanding.
So it's a great group. We meet on Saturdays on the third Saturday of the month at the Methodist Church on St. Andrews. We have a beautiful president. Colonel Teresa Walsh is fabulous. She's formed a really strong leadership team.
Oh, I know Teresa.
And we do a lot of community stuff.
Yeah. And I know Lori Wysong.
Lori is instrumental in the joy and the breadth of this organization. She actually serves as the president of the Women Army Corps chapters in America at the national level.
So she's at the national level.
And one of our other members, a wonderful lady named Mo Pryor, sometimes known as
I know Mo.
Green.
I interview her too.
Yes. She serves at the national level, I believe, as the treasurer. So Arizona is totally represented at the national level, and specifically the activity in this chapter.
Oh, very cool. So if you're joining us right now, and if you have any questions for myself or for our guests, please put them down there in the comment section, and we'll pop them up on the screen here so that we can get those questions answered for you. So to get started, what inspired you to join the military, and where were you at when you joined?
Okay, these will be personally embarrassing stories from top to finish.
Okay.
I joined the Army after finishing a little bachelor's degree at University of Texas in elementary ed. I was basically a kindergarten first grade teacher in Wichita Falls, Texas, which is my hometown. Had taught for 3 or 4 years as a small child living in my mother's home, and decided the combination of living with my mother and teaching school, dealing with parents, was highly motivating to join the Army. So I joined the Army, and of course I like to call myself patriotic, and I certainly love my country and wanted to serve, but there was a kind of a more personal motivation to get the heck out of Dodge and kind of make my own way. So I got a commission in the summer of 75.
So you went to basic training, or when you go to OCS, is there, I know I've asked this of other guests, I just don't remember. Do you have to go to different training for OCS, or is it the same? Or
okay. So I was not OCS. I had no prior service. I joined literally out of the classroom. Again, desperation makes you do funny things. So I went to Fort McClellan, Alabama, which at the time was the WAC headquarters, because all women at that time had to go through WAC basic training. Fort McClellan, Alabama. The CG there at the time, I want to say, was a lady named Mary something. Gosh. Anyway, did WAC basic for regular basic time. And that then drove a commitment of 3 years. commissioned as a second lieutenant. And in those years, these years, 74, 75, 76, those were the transition years because folks were coming back from Vietnam. There obviously was going to be a big rift. They were trying to backfill with more female officers and enlisted. So and that's what's unique, not to me, because there's hundreds of us that went through this path. I did WAC basis at Fort McClellan, Alabama, commissioned as a WAC, Palace of Athena.
Okay.
Very special thing. And then I was commissioned again at Fort Gordon, Georgia in the Signal Corps. So we, the female officers coming out of WAC basic, we were given choice. We were what we called branched.
Okay.
We were commissioned PA or WAC, Women's Army Corps, and then we were commissioned then in a branch. This was the new beginning. Within a few years, the WAC piece went away because the WAC, the Women Army Corps, was dissolved.
Okay.
And women from that point on went straight into a branch, a commission. So,
Do you know what the reasoning behind that was?
We were women and probably didn't really want to change.
Uh-huh.
And there was a lot of ownership, a lot of loyalty to Women's Army Corps.
Right.
So, but it went away. The short answer, though, Mike, oh my gosh, now we're into interesting topics. The short answer was integration. The female soldiers and officers were integrated into the Army.
Okay.
As opposed to having a WAC barracks or a WAC detachment or a WAC chain of command. And we're not news people, we became embedded in the regular Army.
Okay.
So we weren't our own separate thing. These years, we were some of the last of those classes. So after Fort McClellan, Alabama, WAC basic, I drove myself over to Fort Gordon, Georgia, went through Signal Corps basic.
Okay.
As a lieutenant.
And what was your MOS when you completed that?
Well, it was tactical signal. Basically, when I got to my first assignment in Fort Hood, Texas,
okay,
and something back in those days, the signal structures were huge. You know, a signal battalion would be 400 or 500 people, and the brigade would be 1,000 to 2,000. This was a long time ago when we actually operated radios. So I was a cable dog platoon
leader, huh?
36 Charlie. So it was tactical signal.
Okay.
And we went out to the field. We dug ditches, buried cable, installed junction boxes. I was in charge of and this is kind of derogatory, 36 Charlie is sometimes called cable apes.
Okay. And you were at Fort Hood for how long?
Well, the Fort Hood piece lasted longer because, of course, in my usual way, every 3 years I was going to get out. So every 3 years, when the HR people would come and say, "Jane, it's time to sign you want to continue, or are you going to get out?" And I would say, "Oh, I'm thinking about getting out." And then when it got down to the day, I'd say, "Oh, I think I'll stay in."
Right.
So I ended up being at Fort Hood about 7 years.
Okay.
A lot of that is because I truly didn't know what I was doing. Not the best way to manage it is not the way to manage a career. But so I finally decided to stay in, make the true commitment, made captain, and was picked up for the advanced course, went back to Fort Gordon, Georgia for Signal Corps advanced course.
And then after you completed that course, where did you go to next?
Oh, Mike. Then I got assigned to Germany, actually something called 7th Signal Brigade, which at that time was located on Coleman Barracks in downtown Mannheim, Germany. Now, all this has now changed. This was a century ago, Michael.
Oh, I'm sure, because signals not, well, I think I know we don't have any more signal units here at Fort Huachuca. I think the last one left not too long ago, wasn't it? 40th Signal or
11th Signal Brigade.
Yeah.
So I was in downtown, we were in Mannheim, Germany for that assignment. In that Signal Brigade, I basically did plans, ran something called SysCom, operations officer, hands-on tactical signal.
Okay. Trish saying, so great to see the WAC representation in the studio. We have had a few, actually. I interviewed 3 at one time. It was Jeanette, Mo, and What was the other lady's name?
Lor-
Lanesse or Lanice?
Lanice, yeah,
Lanice.
yeah, Lanice Moore. She's
Lanice.
fabulous, fabulous. These are phenomenal
And-
women. Sometimes I'm
Oh,
going
I
to just
agree.
do a little soap opera. Sometimes, you know, the female veteran is a huge component of our community. We may not be as visible as some of the other groups, but between the officers, the retired warrants like Trish, like Lori, of all fields, Lori is a retired Army nurse. Uh, uh, of all ranks, it's a huge population, and with Trish leadership and Teresa's leadership, that chapter is starting to rock with more and more women in it.
And I'm glad to see that the Women Army Corps organization has, opened that door up to all
Yes.
female veterans
Yes,
too.
yes,
And
yes,
we'll
it's
get
important.
a little bit later. We'll get into like how they can get more information on that
Okay.
and stuff. So,
Yes.
so after Germany, you're in Germany for about how long now?
Well, because I was married to a fellow service member, and then we happened to have these two boy children. We kept extending and extending and extending. So total,
Okay.
we were in Germany about 17 years.
And were your children born over there?
But actually, I came back to Fort Huachuca long enough to have two babies because
Okay.
I actually didn't want them born in Germany.
And how did that work out for you? Because I know back then, a lot of times when a female soldier would get pregnant, they would make them get out of the military.
Sure, of course, yeah. It was hard.
Okay.
Not again in my mismanagement of my own career, probably not some of the best decisions, but I was determined, and my husband at that time was a warrant, and we just made it work.
Okay.
But we had those two little boy children, went back to Germany, somewhere between Mannheim, Worms, where 5th Signal Command was, where I did SGS, that
Okay.
SGS job, and then moved to Heidelberg, which at the time was USER headquarters, was an XO of the Signal Battalion there, and then Desert Storm happened. So we worked Desert Storm. Right after Desert Storm was a little side thing called Provide Comfort. Provide Company, well, no, it was not politically really popular. It was the rescuing the Kurds in Turkey.
Okay.
So it was not a happy time. The Germans were not real happy with that mission, but we worked. It was a war room situation.
And after you finished there, where did you go? I mean, were you still okay? Because Desert Storm was happening right at that time.
Yes.
And you were there for till what time? What year?
When was Desert 2000? When was Desert Storm over? Oh my gosh!
I don't remember. It was so long ago.
91. Okay, thanks to. So I left. So I did CGSC at Fort Leavenworth. Went back to Germany.
Okay.
Then we both got assignments for Fort Huachuca. So we got here just a little while after Desert Storm finished.
Because I know Fort Huachuca was a big signal area for many decades, actually.
Yeah, I was assigned to 11th Signal Brigade, and General Emmett Page was in Greeley Hall. So I did assignments in 11th Signal Brigade, but mostly staff officer work back up at Greeley Hall.
Okay. So you've been in the military for about how long now?
20 years.
So, I mean, at that point too?
Oh, up at that point?
Yeah.
15 or so.
15 years or so?
Yeah.
Did you go anywhere else after there? Or so when you retired, you were here at Fort Huachuca then?
Yes, yeah.
So out of all of the different military bases that you've been to, what was your favorite military base?
Oh gosh, Mike, I would definitely choose the big topic of Germany. Heidelberg is stunning. Mannheim was beautiful. We loved Worms.
What did you like about it?
Food.
What was appealing? The food?
Food, and of course they had some pretty nice little drinks.
Beer
and wine. And the countryside was just beautiful. Worms was actually in the edge of the Weinstrasse. So, you live right next door to vineyards and stuff. And
don't forget the Christmas markets.
And the Christmas markets, yes, sir.
Oh,
and just the general topic of shopping, one reason that causes you to come back several thousand pounds overweight. And I meant the stuff, not your body.
With your personal housing,
Yes,
well,
yes, sir.
I got you.
And the people. The German people, we square danced in Germany. We had lots of good, because we lived on the economy. And both of my guys went to German kindergarten in first grade, so it was great.
So were you in military housing, or were you,
No,
when you
legal
say you're on
housing.
the economy, then you were?
We rented a house.
I always thought it was fascinating too, because when I've talked to veterans that have been in Germany with their family, they don't have like closets
Yes.
in their
Yes. Yeah.
apartments or whatever.
Mhm.
And then,
Yes.
is it true that some places you share a bathroom, or you don't know, with other apartments, or?
We were in a regular standalone house
Okay.
in a little village outside of Heidelberg. So
Oh,
we had German
okay.
neighbors. You know, like I said, my guys went to German schools. We did German soccer, square dancing. We were part of the community. It was a difficult transition when we moved back to Fort Huachuca, Sierra Vista. Very difficult.
Well, I can imagine the climate has to be a lot different too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because here it's so hot
And dry.
and dry.
Yes,
And what's it like
yes.
there in Germany?
Oh, well, like here now, more like a Seattle, Washington
A lot of humidity.
Yeah, rain.
Very green.
Yeah, big deep forest, lots of green things everywhere. Yeah, the first couple of years we were here, my boys, who were 6 and 8, were appalled that the American kids played soccer on dirt. They were
Really?
just appalled. They kept saying, "Mom, get us to Frankfurt and let's go home." They were not happy. Not happy.
Wow. So after you came from Germany, you're back to Fort Huachuca. So
Mhm.
then that's where you retired at?
Yes, retired.
And what is the retirement process like for an officer? I know we were talking about this off camera, so I want to
Yes,
make sure I get it right.
Sure.
So you just put in your retirement
Mhm.
papers to
Yes.
request
Yeah,
retirement,
yes,
like
yes, yes.
any like enlisted and
Yes,
stuff do
but
too.
you retain that commission, of course, in terms of education benefits and stuff.
Uh-huh.
By that time, I had, and this is not a statement of ego. This is a statement of need to be competitive for promotion. I had completed 2 different masters, so
Wow.
education was a key, at least for me, through the Army, tuition assistance.
What were your masters in?
Oh gosh, well, they're both incredibly old. I actually don't even count them anymore. One is in something called MIS,
Okay.
Management of Information. This was back when IBM 360s would fill this whole building.
Yes.
So all those things are now dead. And the other one was in just plain old education leadership, they called it. Like you could be a principal or a superintendent or something. And then the last one at U of A was educational psychology. But that was a long time ago.
So you're born in Texas.
Yes.
You've been to places here in the States, and then you were overseas a few times, and you came back to Fort Huachuca. You retired here.
Mhm.
What drew you to the area to want to stay?
This is almost like Germany, other than, it's all dirt. Same kind of concept. The people here are wonderful, very supportive, very, very kind, very thoughtful, attentive to young children. It was a great place to raise my boys. We did soccer, we did Cub Scouts. We were very involved in some of the church activities.
Okay.
Kept the boys really busy. In nice school, they went to Huachuca Mountain and then Joyce Clark Middle School and then Sierra Vista Middle School, because in between that I moved. And then, of course, graduated from Buena. Just a supportive, nice, smallish community to raise kids.
Right. You want to give your boys a shout out? Say hi to them. Give us their names. And...
I don't know. One of them, the oldest one, Brian, is now in the Idaho area. He works for the Forest Service. He's a wildlands firefighter.
Oh, wow.
He originally started with BLM, joined the Army, did 2.5 tours of Afghanistan, got out with a little medical. I used to call him the kid with the shovel. Now he's the kid with the bulldozer and water bulbs,
wow.
and he manages equipment on fire lines. And he works the fire lines.
That's a tough job too.
Yep, and it's good for him. He needs to do all of that. And then the younger one lives in southern Illinois, married with a beautiful, gorgeous wife who's a school teacher, the dad of my 2 grandchildren. So that's not so much him, but the grandchildren are very special. So,
and what's their names?
The grandkids are Owen, and who is 8, and little Emily just turned 5. So,
and then your sons too?
Brian is the one in Idaho, and Rob is the one in southern Illinois.
And how did he end up in southern Illinois?
Well, his dad lives in Illinois. So when he graduated, he needed to go somewhere. And my best vote was for him to be in Illinois. So he went there and graduated from Southern Illinois University, got a little degree in urban planning.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But of course, he drives a truck for UPS and does quite well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, at least in our area that I know of, our UPS drivers right now here are just like, I mean, I've gotten packages like at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
oh gosh, yeah, they work. They work, they fill up their truck and they don't come back to the barn, so to speak, until their truck is empty. And it fits this one. It's perfect for him. He loves it.
But I got to tell you, I love every single one of those people that are out there busting their butts to get these, packages or whatever they could be out to people, because with supply and demand and everything going on right now, it's just and prices and everything, it's just crazy. So
well, that business model really fits young, aggressive kind of, these 30-year-olds. It fits them because they take all this ownership. It's like his truck, his route, his customers.
Yep.
And he knows, like little Linda down the lane always buys her soap on Amazon or something. So he knows them, and he really takes a lot of pride in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
So tell us some of the stuff that you brought with you here today.
So Mike, this was a little trip down memory lane for me. I brought a couple of the books I had from the Fort McClellan days.
Oh my goodness!
And these pictures are all black and white, and of course back then we wore
olive drab.
But there's a picture of me with a bunch of the buddies. Obviously, we were kicked back, relaxing, probably.
Go ahead and hold that up to the camera there, see if they can see it.
I'm in the middle over there.
Uh-huh.
We were obviously maybe on a break from doing a parade practice, so we were probably talking stuff and just enjoying that company. These all became very dear friends that I've continued to coordinate with, collaborate with.
Oh, that's awesome.
For years. And here's a picture at the graduating ceremony. Back then, we called these cords. I'm sure they don't wear any of these. I'm in that line somewhere. But they were a lightweight, almost like, for lack of a better word, airline stewardess look uniform, but with the little hat and obviously the matching shoes, and we're all wearing white gloves. A key part of that culture back then.
I really liked those uniforms back then. I thought they looked really nice.
Yeah, it was very cool. Yeah, and the camaraderie that is formed with that bunch of women, because we were the last of this era, because soon thereafter, like I said, the WAC car was disbanded, and women after that were just branched directly.
Right.
So it was quite a history.
And then
we'll do it.
Yeah. So got to show that.
This is a horrible picture of me for everybody in Cochise County to see. It's one of those basic pictures. It looks terrible. I had totally forgotten. I'm a little jealous of that chin, but that's that picture of me. So.
Isn't it so weird seeing pictures of you like from like 40 or 50 years ago compared to how we are now? And I was like, wow, I was that skinny, or I was that young,
all these aging processes can be a little startling sometimes.
And it seemed just like yesterday too.
Yes, it does.
Time goes by that quick.
Yeah, but this history is important. It is very important. One reason I've agreed with Phyllis. I think it's important that certainly the women don't lose this history, but us as a society, that America doesn't lose this history of these women that just jumped up and started doing things, got themselves commissioned, got integrated. It was a very special time for women in America.
Seems like it'd be tough to do the job in those uniforms.
That must be Trish. Yeah. Okay, Trish. Well, the good news is I think we just marched around those uniforms. I don't think we ever did anything. I think that was just for those graduation
just ceremonies. For the pomp and circumstance type thing.
Yes. Trish is right.
So when are these items that you have here, and since there are quite a few women veterans that are in the WAC that live here in Cochise County, do they have is there like a little museum or library or anything like that where people can kind of go in and see some of these artifacts? Not artifacts, but memorabilia.
Yeah, of course, in Washington, D.C., there is the Women's Memorial that 100 years ago, geez, I forgot when that was started. There was a bunch of us across America that helped with that initial fundraising. So
Okay.
there's that up in Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C.
And then, but in terms of like here locally, no, sir, I don't know. Trish or Teresa might know, but I do not.
I don't know. I just think it'd be kind of neat if somebody wanted to go in and see some of these older pictures of when women were in the Women Army Corps. I don't know if like the Ethelberger Center or the
Or
library. I don't know
or
if
the
any of those
Henry Hauser
places.
Museum itself.
Henry Hauser?
Yeah.
Would they have it, you think? Or
We would have to, they have a new curator now. We'd have to see how much room they have. But
yeah,
there's enough of us. Well, Trish was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam.
Yes.
I'm just telling on her like crazy.
I know.
So yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of material out there. Sure.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a great. The ladies are phenomenal.
So how did you go about meeting your current husband then?
Well, so Michael,
Tell a story on that one.
So I was running for something called the Cochise College Governing Board as a nonpartisan elected higher ed policymaker, which is what those community college boards do.
Okay.
At the very same moment, Bob was also running for City of Sierra Vista City Council. So since we were two singles, this
Okay.
is that problem with odd people in a group. We always got sat next to each other because they didn't know what else to do with us. Everybody else came in as couples. And at first it was kind of like a joke. But we were cordial and talked. And
Right.
basically one thing led to another from that.
Maybe God was just kind of putting you two together
guess
slowly but
so.
surely. So.
Certainly I was blessed, but yes.
And what year did you guys get married?
Yikes, Mike, we got married in 99.
In 1999?
Yeah. The joke was we wanted to be married before the turn of the new century because everybody could remember that whole Y2K
Yes.
scare. Everybody
Yeah.
thought that the world would end. So Bob says, well, let's get married in 99 before the world ends. And I went, is that a good sign? But anyway, yes, we got married in 99.
Well, because what I was leading to is I know that community activities is another thing that I'd like to talk about with our veterans.
Yes, sir.
But I understand that your husband was the mayor
He
of
was.
Sierra Vista,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Bob Strain,
Yes.
and he was the mayor from what year?
I think 07 to 2010. Prior to that, he was
Okay.
on the council for 12
City
years.
council or?
City council, yes,
council?
sir. And that's the general route in terms of that, learning how complex that job really is. In the meantime, I'm serving on the Cochise College Governing Board since 98.
Okay.
So I've been on that board a while.
Are you still on it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're 6-year terms, nonpartisan, higher ed, not paid, nobody cares. And it
Nobody
is-
paid or nobody cares. How do you
nobody
know?
cares. Well, because we get very little what they used
Funding?
to call. Oh no,
Or-
funding is mandatory. It's constitutional. No, involvement. It's hard to get the public's involvement.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
Because with the college, the president, the staff, the faculty, everybody's doing their jobs. So we try to stay busy, do the right things, stay within budget, produce quality programs, and stay out of everybody's way.
Wow. So what are some of the community activities that you've done in our area?
So right after I retired, because I had those 2 little boys, I was on the soccer league board. I did the Boys and Girls Club board, and I did Cub Scout board in that I was a pack leader.
Okay.
So I did those 3 things in amongst, just normal church stuff. So as the boys grew, I changed and stepped out of stuff as they grew and did other things. So I got involved in the children's community course for a while, helped with some fundraisers with some of my dear friends there. I guess the biggest single thing I did in those years, I got involved with First Things First.
What's that?
First Things First is the early childhood movement in Arizona. It was initially funded in 06 by a little Proposition 302 that we worked to get it passed. The good news, it passed as a proposition statewide,
Okay.
but not in Cochise County. Actually, Maricopa carried it. From this is the state agency. So the state agency is in charge of quality care, health, and safety of little ones. This is birth to 5-year-olds. This is early childhood movement. This is
Okay.
a population that until this was done in Arizona, that population was almost invisible. You didn't know where those kids were and how they were being taken care of and how safe they were and what kind of early childhood literacy and programs they were experiencing. Some of them it was great. Some of them were doing quite well. In Cochise County, not always true. So the agency was formed based upon that first proposition. The revenue stream, though, happens to be tobacco tax. So
I remember that. I think I remember that. Yeah.
That's why I usually back into that topic.
Yeah.
It was a tough sell because usually when you do any of those luxury taxes for a revenue stream, those people who are doing that luxury, like smoking cigarettes, are not real happy.
Right.
So it was quite a battle. It passed in Arizona. All of this stuff was formed. We start putting in quality programs in the child care centers. We started making sure little kids got their teeth checked, their hearing checked prior to 5. And it sounds easy, but it's really not.
Was there an organization here in our area that oversaw that, or it was just a program that different people could apply for?
Mike. So it's a little, it's a little complicated. Of course, there were different agencies. I would have called this hodgepodge. There were different agencies. Everybody had a little piece, but there was no system.
Right.
There was no phone call you could call and say, I need to get my kid to the children's dentist in Wilcox.
Can you help me?
Yeah. And the good news is there wasn't any. There wasn't any. At that time, Cochise County had one pediatric dentist in the county. So dental health was one of the first ones we attacked because it's so pervasive to overall good health. So if a little kid is 5 years old and his or her teeth are really, really bad and he's got infections, that when this kid hits 6 in first grade, they're not ready to learn. This was all about what they called the factor of readiness. It was all about getting 4 and 5 year olds ready for school. And to do that, you've got to do health, you've got to do safety, and then of course, obviously, the education piece.
Were there some more community activities that you were involved in?
Yeah, after we did First Things First, I was actually teaching at both Western International, U of P, and for a while Wayland Baptist. So teaching at those 3 different higher eds, adult students at night was an experience. I did get paid, but a lot of times it probably could have been more like community volunteer work.
Right.
But I loved it. I loved working at night with these adult students and their aggressiveness and determination to move forward in their work. So I did that, First Things First, and then I was always on that whole time on the college board.
As a female veteran, looking back on your career, what is like the thing that you hold like nearest and dearest to your heart? Maybe the thing that you're most proud of?
Oh my gosh, Mike! Phyllis told me this was going to be easy. Where is
she? It is easy. We're just rapping.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Right, Jen? We're just rapping.
Most proud of? Well, it would have to be a tie of First Things First, and then more recently, within the last 8 or 9 years, I also fell into and got involved with this phenomenal tiny nonprofit called Friends of the Sierra Vista Animal Shelter. Our tagline is "We do dogs and cats." Now, that's a long, complicated story about how that even happened. But I fell into this board. It was a wonderful board, great, positive, ethical, strong leadership by a lady named Kathy Bonacore. And it was Kathy and I and a few others that raised the $80,000 to buy that trailer. This is the trailer you'll hear them talk about. It's the mobile unit. It's a trailer that can do everything for dog and cat welfare, except not spay and neutering. We figured out we didn't have enough money in the world to add a surgery room. So that was an effort. That was almost 4 years.
Well, and just so our viewers know, the lady that you're mentioning, the women veterans that you're mentioning, Kathy, Trish, Teresa,
yes,
all veterans.
All veterans.
So I just wanted to make that connection in case our viewers didn't know if that was
great. Thank you, Mike. Well, and if you look at nonprofits and I'm sure we're violating all sorts of HIPAA rules here, but if you look at those boards of nonprofits, you will see lots and lots of women veterans on those boards
Mhm.
of all shapes, sizes, ranks, because they're community focused. There are ladies that are concerned about the quality of life in Sierra Vista. There's ladies that bring work and leadership experience, and they're fabulous. They're dedicated. They're passionate. Many of them, like Trish, can write amazing grants. Kathy is Bonacor is tremendous at strategic planning. So they bring all of those skills to whatever their nonprofit is.
Well, I have personal interactions with Phyllis
Mm-hmm.
and Trish and Teresa, and
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact all three of these women veterans are, you know, top of their game.
Top
Yeah.
notch. Yeah, Phyllis is another one. I mean, the DAV work, the VICAP drivers. There's just Carolyn Weaver has put together that nonprofit called Hooves, which is an equine therapy idea for veterans. So I
Can
don't
you
want
tell
to.
us about that a little bit, or?
Oh, this is Carolyn's.
Carolyn's baby? Okay.
Carolyn Weaver. I'm gonna throw Carolyn under the bus. Carolyn would be a great interview.
Okay.
Thank you, Phyllis. Go find Carolyn. Yes.
One other question I wanted to ask you was, what is one of the proudest moments of your military career?
My military career probably was when we finished Desert Storm there in Heidelberg, Germany, in the war room. At that point, we had worked over a year in, shifts, 12 on, 12 offs for 7 days straight, 2 days to sleep. And we did that for a little over a year because we did Desert Storm and then that other thing, Provide Comfort. At the end of that, Army guys, any excuse to have a party. We had a big old party, not in the war room, but, out in some of the regular offices. And it was great. Everybody hugged each other. We could, like wear tennis shoes. First time many of us had been out of uniform on Campbell Concern in over a year. And that was a stressful time. That was a very difficult effort there in Heidelberg. But there was a pride. There was a solemn humbleness for having the opportunity to work that effort for America, for our values, our systems,
right.
and as a world leader to demonstrate to other countries, and let me just say Turkey, that we are value driven and humble, and still, in spite of all the things that happens in our community, do the right thing for the right reasons. It was a great moment. There was a guy named General Saint. Gosh, I don't remember his.
Who's is part of Warrior Healing Center.
Oh my gosh, the Trish. Thank you, Trish. I need Trish here. So that ending ceremony, and it wasn't that ending party. I'm sorry, we didn't do. We didn't march or anything. We just hugged each other and had beer and bratwurst.
And then you have that moment where you're going from that military career that you've known for 20 years of your life.
Yes, sir.
And now you're transferring into a civilian role.
Yes, sir.
What was that kind of like for you?
That was horrible. That was horrible. That was very demanding. That was very difficult because I had been raised up in this environment of everybody knows their job, everybody does their job, everybody's trustworthy, everybody's ethical. You don't have to go back and check people. You just do it. Into a civilian world, I worked contracts for a while at different unnamed contractors here in Sierra Vista.
Okay.
So it was just different. Different, I'm like 7 o'clock, you got to be at work. When somebody walked in at 7:02, I'd go, that mean teacher look. I just didn't understand it. I was just always somewhat taken back. And the shortcuts and the little not 100% accurate on reports, because I would have to review things and prepare them for signatures, and I wasn't going to give my PM, a piece of paper that wasn't 100% accurate. So I'm having to go back and re-question stuff, and so I got a little frustrated from time to time.
Well, I was in Medac, and I would be on a schedule like 7:30 to 16:15.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, isn't it? 16:15? No. 4:15. Yeah, 16:15.
Yes, yeah.
And when you transfer into like a civilian job,
Hmm.
they don't keep those weird type of
Yeah,
schedules or
it,
clocks or anything
yeah,
like
8 to
that.
5, 8
So
to 5. Yes,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It was a difficult transition, but it was a transition I needed to do. By that time, I was a single mom. I was responsible for these 2 little boys. I needed to provide a stable,
well,
good home for them.
it
So,
sounds like you did
you
a
just
great
kind of
job.
like suck it up, buttercup, and just kind of
Sounds
do
like you did a
it.
great job.
Yeah, well,
So
they're good. They're good guys.
lastly, I wanted to ask you, what is one of your proudest moments after you retired, looking back, or accomplishment
Hmm.
that you'd like to share with
Sure.
us
Well,
as in the civilian,
yeah, toast, close tie. First things first. That early childhood
right?
agency and all the work in Cochise County. Certainly the friends that work with Kathy Bonacar and buying that trailer. And of course, Cochise College. I am super committed to the higher education piece of Arizona, specifically the community college piece, which is the bridge between K 12 and the 4-year universities. It is the place where people find opportunities, they find themselves, they find careers, or they refund them. We do a lot of what
Right.
they call retraining. To me, the community colleges is like the best thing since like maybe peach cobbler in Georgia. It's just a very important segment of our education architecture.
For any women veterans that are watching, uh, what advice would you like to share with them? And also, I also wanted to say too, before I forget,
It's
also how can they get information on joining
the WAC chapter.
yes.
I'm now I'm throwing Trish and Teresa. They need to find Trish. I don't. I'll have to get that information back to you. You got to find Teresa Walsh,
Okay.
Trish Thompson, of course, and Trish from time to time hangs out at DAV. Kathy Bonacore, Mo Pryor, that whole crowd.
Yeah, they're all at
I
DAV.
don't have that information right with me. But in terms of advice, Mike, I'm not an advice person because
No?
I've done everything wrong. Now, if you ask me what can you do wrong, I've got a list. But I'm not good at that. It's just everybody needs to do what they need to do ethically with a high sense of character and accountability and just be responsible.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming in and sitting down and talking with us. And I hope my questions weren't too
No,
hard.
no, it was wonderful.
I
It
just
was
try
wonderful.
I just try to keep it light, and I don't have any list of questions
Yeah, no, it's
or
great.
anything. So
Yes,
I just kind of what's off the top of my head.
Yeah, it was nice.
Sometimes my questions might be a little zany, and heck, sometimes I probably even ask the same question twice for all I know.
No, it was good because it made me think. I hadn't thought about any of this.
Could you
stuff
stick
in
around
years.
for a couple of minutes while I read
Sure.
the announcements real quick?
Sure,
and then,
of course.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Tim, did you have any questions real quick? No? Okay. All right. So the upcoming events that are coming up here at the Warrior Healing Center today is the Legion Steak Night. And that's going to be taking place. I just said we're here at the Warrior Healing Center. But anyways, Legion Steak Night, American Legion, Post 52. That's going to be $15 from 17 to 1900 hours. And that's American Legion, Post 52. On Saturday, starting at 0700, the Bello Vets Sierra Vista Group will be riding. They meet at the Pueblo del Sol Country Club parking lot. That's a Bello Vets that Stu Carter. Yeah,
he's
great.
He's
Great group of veterans in that one. On Saturday, starting at 1700 and going to 2100, we have the Warrior Healing Center Veteran-Owned Business Spotlight, and it's going to be taking place down at the Chill Factor. So if you want to come down and meet some of the local veteran-owned businesses and enjoy an evening of chilling out, and that's going to be, again, 1700 to 2100 hours. And I know that the Chill Factor is on Fry Boulevard, but I don't remember what the address is. I messed up. I should have got the address. Maybe Tim could get that for me real quick while I finish up the announcements here. Monday, August 29th at 1730 to 1830 is the 5 Treasures of Qigong. Have you ever done that?
No.
Qigong? Do you know what it is?
Is it chest?
It's kind of like a yoga or, yeah.
No, I have not.
Yeah, they have the classes here. They start at 1730, go to 1830. And on Tuesday, starting at 10 o'clock, they have the VFW Taco Tuesday at the VFW Post 9972, Wednesday, August 31st. Starting at 1800 and going to 1930 is the Women's PTSD support group here at the Warrior Main Conference Center. Yes, Tim?
I've located the Chill Factor Hookah and Cigar Lounge for you.
Thank you, sir.
You can find it at 833 D as in Delta, East Fry Boulevard in Sierra Vista.
Thank you. 833 D as in Delta, East Fry Boulevard. And our last announcement is on Wednesday, August 31st, starting at 1830 and going to 2030 is the RWB Dinner and Trivia, and that's going to be at Native Wings. So that is the announcements that I have for now. I really like this kind of new software that you guys put in. It's interesting because then I can focus more on the guest and not have to worry about watching the comments. Because I used to be like this all the time through my interview, like trying to watch the comments on the.
This is nice. This is very nice.
So very good. So again,
thank you, Mike.
Mr. Strain, thank you so much for coming in and joining us. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for joining us today. And I will see everybody next Friday morning with my next guest. As soon as I line it up. I've got a couple people that I'm working on. So, okay, that's it. Have a great day, everybody.